Well, that afternoon, I had just returned from Norfolk.
On October 4th, 2013, Dave Olson was the general manager of Grossenberg Implement. He'd just come back from a sales call.
And we were all in the sales area, and we had heard that there was maybe a tornado at Hoskins, but all we saw here was a really good thunderstorm.
It wasn't just a thunderstorm.
One of our salesmen had left, and he tried to get back into town, decided it was raining too hard, and came back. He came to the back door and tried to get in, and I went over to let him in, and I couldn't get the door open because the wind was blowing so hard. I told him, motioned to him to go to one of the other doors. I turned around and walked back toward my office, thought, I gotta check on that guy one more time. I took 2 steps toward the door, heard it coming, took 2 steps back the other way, and the next thing I remember was the roof went off.
Debris hit Olson in the head, knocking him out. At the same time, Don Hypes was one of 3 people taking shelter in the men's restroom.
I didn't fathom that it was a tornado at the time, I don't think, but in the men's restroom it was just loud and noisy and a lot of shaking around.
After the storm passed, Hypes couldn't believe his eyes.
We came out of the restroom and the showroom that we looked at first was pretty well beat up. But then we looked out the front door and there was no glass, there was no doors, there was no anything.
Olson was unconscious for about 5 minutes. But when he woke up,
the whole sales addition was gone except for the south wall. And there was a bunch of pickups that had been piled up against that. But otherwise it came over the wall and it took the whole addition. And it was all gone.
But Olson and Hypes were alive. And so were 23 others inside the dealership that the tornado tore apart.
Somebody was watching out for us.
By the next morning, owner Barry Grossenberg had already started planning to rebuild.
His first comment when I saw him was, I've always wanted to build a dealership from the ground up. You're going to get your chance, Barry, because there's nothing there.
By noon the same day, Grossenberg already had a building to move into. After all, October is harvest season, a bad time for an implement dealership to be out of business.
Monday, everybody was just doing something to move out of here and move to the temporary location.
11 months later, Grossenberg's new dealership opened in Wayne, right on the spot where the old one once stood.
Everybody talks about the Midwest farm, work ethic and stuff, and I guess that just, that's what we like to think of.
Building a future for Grossenberg from the rubble of the past. After the storm, Olson and owner Barry Grossenberg sought the advice of an implement dealer in Kansas who lost his business to a tornado. The owner told them to build something on site as soon as they could. That way, he said, people would still know they were in business. And that's just what happened.